Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin and Cardano. In this video, we're going to take a look at both of these charts. We can see that generally the crypto market is moving sideways a little bit because Bitcoin is basically moving sideways. And then oftentimes when that happens, you can see the altcoins performing quite well, because when Bitcoin is moving just sideways, money flows typically into these altcoins, especially in the more solid projects. Here, Cosmos is doing surprisingly well today. But you get these pumps, these irrational pumps in phases like these, which doesn't at all mean that the downtrend must be over. But I'll talk about all these things in my next altcoin videos. But let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, in my view, here still in this correction, as you know. And this whole pattern here could really be the beginning of something really big, something that we haven't seen before in the crypto space. And I did show you that pattern before. It is basically here the grand, also you call it grand super cycle of the S&P 500. It's just this wave pattern. Take a look at that. Yeah, remember this pattern. And now we can take a look at the Bitcoin price again. It's basically a mirror image, isn't it, of the duplicate of this pattern here. So that was the S&P 500. You can find these patterns throughout in the history of the S&P 500, not only on the S&P 500, but throughout various stocks and shares, index, ETFs, whatever. You'll find these everywhere, yeah. And these are just patterns. You can call these ABC corrections, right? That's how I call it here on the Bitcoin chart, based on the Elliott Wave method. But if we take a look at the history here of the S&P 500, you can actually see this play out here several times. I mean, this is a very, very long-term chart. But these patterns work in large and also in small, in the macro scale and in the micro scale. You can see that you have these A, B, C patterns all the time, where you're basically completing one pattern. Here you had an A, B, C, and here you had another A, B, C, with the last major one happening here around 2009, 2010, right? That was the last major one that played out. And this is what I expect for Bitcoin. And as you can see, after this was finished, making a lower low, basically, you start something very, very interesting. Yeah, you basically move to new all-time highs. And that's where we currently are, not only on the S&P 500, but I think this is what we could expect for the Bitcoin chart as well. However, at the moment, without much surprise, Bitcoin is just moving sideways. This very much confirms at the moment my view that we could be in a wave 4. You know that wave 4s are generally very, very boring. We did something very similar here in this whole phase. Yeah, this was also a wave 4, a larger wave 4 here in light blue, from the low at 33K all the way up to nearly 46K. Also, you saw a very similar pattern here. Yeah, like a V-shaped recovery, sideways movement, long days and weeks of sideways movement, and then pumped a little bit more, sideways movement, and it took really, oh dear, I mean 3 weeks, 4 weeks for it to do something significant. So yeah, that is unfortunately why I don't like it. Well, this is a boring wave 4. It could really be that boring wave 4. We've seen it throughout here the last few weeks and months, that these wave 4s, here that was another wave 4, from that low to the wave 4, very, very boring sideways movement. Here that was back also early in January, where you also had from the 10th of January all the way until the 20th of January, also just sideways movement, yeah. And the reason for that is that a wave 4 is a corrective wave. It's not impulsive, it's just corrective, it's consolidating, it can be very, very boring. And I think that we could see that here as well. Maybe not that long, because this is really, these are the micro movements. This is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern within a wave 5. And these are the small moves, right? So it doesn't need to take days or weeks, but it could take a while. But yeah, you can see this was my price target for this wave 4, and you can see how perfectly it's working out. The price is just moving in this channel very, very nicely and very, very accurately. So if I just move that to the side, and we can take a look at this pattern. So we had this descending broadening wedge. We talked about the price target for this descending broadening wedge being the beginning of the wedge. Now this could be 40.7, 40.6K. The price did reach 40.3, 40.4K, so it got very close. With just a peak The downtrend movement was not invalidated. That only happens if the price breaks above 41.5K. And at the moment, it's just moving sideways. Now, what are we seeing here? In my view, we could see here a little bit more of a movement soon, because after periods of consolidation, there will usually be a movement. I think what we see here currently is just something like a triangle potentially forming. Yeah, it's a bit too early to say that because there are various ways how you can draw this pattern, but it looks like we're getting here in some sort of an apex, and it's not a very clear pattern because you can draw it in various ways. Yeah, let's see how this is actually going to play out. We're moving into an apex here, and if it breaks to the upside, I think it will find the first resistance at 40.5K. That is here the 50-day moving average, and then 41.5. And as I said, if it breaks above 41.5K, that downtrending movement is invalidated. Yeah, doesn't mean that we are out of the downtrend, but it means that imminent wave here in orange, this 5-wave pattern to the downside that would take us into this region between 20 and 29K, would then be invalidated for now. Okay, so yeah, that is what Bitcoin is doing, just sideways movement at the moment. Also the indicators just moving sideways. There isn't really anything interesting, I think, to see here. Just an area or a period of consolidation, so nothing exciting on the indicators. Just taking a look here. What is interesting though is that on the daily chart, the MACD is turning to the upside. We're far away still from a potential bullish crossover, but yeah, we could be getting a buy signal here soon. Okay, so but for that, the price either needs to move sideways or needs to do a bit of a jump to the upside. There is still a risk that this could all become a major head and shoulders pattern, and however, again, it's a bit too early to say that. For that, we need a lower high, and then the price could then hit the neckline here somewhere around 37K maybe, and then capitulate when it breaks that. So Bitcoin, just sideways movement. We need to wait how the market is deciding. In my view, after this wave 4, we should continue the move to the downside. So ADA also very, I mean, it is sort of boring to watch, but ADA generally, if we look at the higher level wave count and what the price is doing, it's actually very interesting because, again, look at the chart here. It is the same wave count as Bitcoin. Yes, it looks a bit different, but overall as well, if we just take a look at the super cycle, also here, bear in mind, we moved here to all-time highs, then came down, made a low, made basically a higher high. That's what Cardano did as well, and made a lower low. And that is exactly what Cardano did here. It did make a lower low. There was the lowest support here was basically 92 cents or 90 cents, but all of these levels were broken. Yeah, and because these levels were broken, it has now made a lower low. And from that point of view, if we go by this super cycle pattern or this just general ABC pattern where the price needs to make a lower low, yeah, basically Cardano has done it, right? It has done it, but because there is no sign of a recovery yet, we can assume that the price will reach the next fib levels here. And this is the 78.6% fib level and the 88.7% fib level between 55 and 30 cents. That is still what I primarily expect, but it doesn't need to reach it to complete the correction. The correction could be over at any point in time. We don't have a sign yet that the correction is over, but just remember that super cycle pattern after which we saw really, really impulsive moves to the upside. And that is what I expect for Cardano as well, and generally here for Bitcoin and the crypto market as well. After all the weekends have been shaken out, then it's typically when people are losing interest. That is then when you see the prices go up again. So here we had a bit of a buy signal here a few days ago on the Cardano chart on the daily, where it got oversold for a brief moment. And since then the price has been recovering, and also the MACD might print here a bullish crossover in the next few days. It might be interesting to watch that, because typically when the MACD crosses bullish, that generates some upside as well. Theoretically here, maybe the next move to the upside could already end that correction, but I don't think it will. I am still expecting another drop for Bitcoin. But yeah, I think we could see a bit of a more substantial recovery here, like one of these more major waves to the upside. Yeah, nothing too crazy maybe, but a little bit of a recovery before we then get into this target area finally. But very, very important message that Cardano has done what it needs to do in the correction. At any point in time, it could here move to the upside. Yeah, and As I said before, my price target for the next major wave to the upside. So I'm talking here, looking at the S&P 500 again. I'm talking here about this wave pattern that would then end somewhere up. No, talking about the next wave 3. That would be here for Cardano, a level of at least $4.50. So I think that is good news. Yeah, especially if should we really reach a 55 or 30 cent Cardano, then of course it would be phenomenal gains. For now though, yeah, I don't think anyway the downtrend is over yet. For that we would need to see a higher high and a higher low, and Cardano just hasn't done it yet. Yeah, that's my view here on Bitcoin and Cardano. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please smash the like button and subscribe. And if you want to join as a channel member to get access to the Telegram live chat, by the way, an awesome community, yeah, really helpful community, to the Discord server with a lot of additional content, my buy and sell orders, all sorts of stuff for beginners and advanced people, talks about mining, staking, all sorts of things you can find on Discord. And if you want to get access to a weekly live stream, then check out the channel membership. And you can do that on the on my website. And again, for that you can find a video link in the video description, or you can join here on YouTube. And yeah, just try it out for a month and see if you like it. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.